Hello, it's Andrew Arcana again. I wanted to go through was basically the collection of cards that I had the first time I tried to read and what I was doing in that situation. I also want to try to do this in under 5 minutes. I just started a countdown timer. Now, my first was the Halloween Tarot by Kipling West, and I do have a second in case anything happens to my first. The first video I posted here showed me even riffle shuffling that. The second deck that I bought, and after this is going to get a little bit fuzzy, but my second was the Magic Manga Tarot. I haven't seen it since. I tried to look for a second copy, and a new one goes for over $100. I'm not sure why. It seems to be popular with cosplayers. It's not a very... it doesn't adhere to any other system. The artwork is just kind of there. But the one thing it did that as a new reader, it kind of got me thinking was made strong use of color. Cups are always blue, wands are always red, swords are always yellow, pentacles are always green. Why the Seven of Pentacles is a mime is, up for debate. This deck was really meant, I think, to be more of a showcase of the art style than anything to seriously read with. However, they did take some care to explain the colors and their own methodology. The next deck I bought, I'm not going to take it out of this bag. This was the Dark Grimoire Tarot by the Llewellyn Lo Scarabeo family of publications. What I was doing with this is every week I would draw 3 cards and 1 or 2 story elements. I would write a 1,500 word minimum short story, record it as a podcast with all of my ums and uhs edited out before posting online, and then I would live stream myself reading the short story and drawing the next 3 cards live on the internet in a live stream in 2010, 2011, when that was a lot harder to do. And, every week I'd have new fiction up. This is the Archeon Tarot, or Archeon. Very, very personal and apparently intimate to the individual who created it, Timothy Lance. I have my hand placed here for a reason. This one very much seems to be intentionally designed for how Timothy wanted to read tarot cards. Very, very frequently deviates from what you would normally see in the artwork. He also assigned different gender roles to different suits. And I think it has more nudity than any other deck in my collection, whether it's this one's actually photographed, a mix of photography and digital elements. My first real attempt to get with a Rider-Waite-Smith clone was the Fradella Adventure Tarot. I cannot shuffle this. The cards just stick and clump together, and even trying to straighten them out, even trying to get them out of the box, that's not good. They clump together more than any deck I've ever seen. It's a superhero-themed reimagination of Pamela Coleman Smith's original artwork. Not that bad as far as art is concerned. There's the lovers, but not that great if you can't shuffle it. My second attempt at a Rider-Waite-Smith clone was the Universal Fantasy. Again, we're looking at the Llewellyn Lo Scarabeo family of cards, and as I learned more on my second wave of going through tarot cards, I started to really see that a lot of the cards very kind of subtly... I'm going to make sure I'm not really posting much, flesh to this. Here's an 8 of Pentacles, which normally would be somebody achieving mastery of his physical labor. A 3 of Pentacles, very subtly, 2 of Swords, which is also on the box. It does reinterpret the Pamela Coleman Smith artwork in a fantasy, like a high fantasy setting. And it does a pretty good job of it. The more knowledgeable I get, the more I appreciate that deck. And finally, a deck that I thought I was coming to dislike, but it wound up being smarter than I thought as well. This is the Tarot of the Vampyres by Ian Daniels. And what impressed me about this deck, again, I'm going to kind of look over here on my own so as not to show much flesh. I prepared a couple other decks ahead of time. What impressed me about this was that as much as it looks like it's speaking its own language, it also utilizes a lot of the symbols that predate the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Very, very subtly, if you look on this card, for instance, Mars and Pisces on the Grail. And there's a glare. And every card has those astrological correspondences on it. So this is a deck I don't read with much anymore. Of all these decks, I'm most likely to read and do my nightly meditation with the Universal Fantasy, or obviously the Halloween by Kipling West. The rest are still in my collection for more nostalgic reasons. This is where I came from. Even then, I wanted to learn what the cards really meant, and not just as far as their traditional meanings, but what they meant to other readers, because I was using them as a creative writing aid, but I did not want to be disrespectful to people who saw something more spiritual in them. And over time, from about 2012 through a few years ago, I wound up fading away from it for a few years. I was performing mostly theater and comedy, but also acting as an amateur magician at times. And when I did write, instead of short fiction, I was writing music more often. So I did fall away from things until life changes happened again. I grew, I got curious again. I found an online course, and I really, really started to understand the cards a lot better in the last year. The curiosity had always been there, but not always the time. So that's where I came from. That was my first of two waves with tarot cards, really. And next time around, I can happily show where I'm at this point in my life.